You three.
You want the video on or just your picture? Like the video or just the picture?
Yeah.
Video.
Like that.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Mr. Max, in case he gets to listen. Hello, Melody.
Hello.
It's me. It's Grandma.
Awesome.
No,
Let's see. We're waiting for everyone to log in. Right now we have Grandma Dee, Carolyn, Grandma Dorothy, Miss Marion, and Kent. So we'll give people a few more minutes.
That light on for it to charge.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Melody did
Monday.
I know I cannot be there, but I was just wondering about your invitation. You were talking about something in July. I just wanted to well, if you mail me a copy, I'll read it. See what that was about. You were saying something about, are you meeting with your group on some kind of a lunch or something? I didn't quite understand your get together.
The banquet, Melody.
Oh yeah. So it's Saturday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. It's a banquet for the Kiowa language program for all the mentors and candidates and all that. And that's going to be Saturday, July 23rd. And I'd have to check in with the language program staff to see if maybe there can be a virtual option for those that live out of state. So I have to I could ask about that. Hey Andrew, boy Hilda.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
Little
Hi,
sad.
Does that help, Miss Marion?
Sure. Oh.
All right. And Grandma Dee or Grandma Dorothy, do you want to add anything else about the banquet that you all know?
Oh, no, I don't know anything, but what I read.
Yes. I wish everybody
Hi.
could come. I said, I wish everybody was able to come who was invited. In the short last year, there's been a lot accomplished, more than the previous 4 years, and I like for people to know it because I'm proud of you guys.
Oh,
Obaha.
Well, maybe they'll be able to film it and record it for people.
How you doing, Melody?
Andrew, have you been busy?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Um,
Oh, I was,
no,
excuse me,
but-
I interrupted. I was talking to someone else.
oh, no worries. Yeah, I've just been keeping busy and actually planning to come down that way in a couple of weeks. So if anyone
Oh,
wants to meet up, I'm happy to meet up. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys ever get so earlier this spring, right? That had this book come out of Kiowa stories, and a lot of you guys helped out with that, which is really nice. I'm still waiting for my copies to give you guys. So there's a
oh, good.
supposed to send me copies, and they're really slow on that. But
Okay.
if they never do, I'll just get some and bring them. But yeah, no, and I don't know if especially you, Melody, are able to access the link that I posted. But I can send that link as well, where you can basically get the book without having to buy it. You don't have to shell out a bunch of money for it. And we're working on putting the recordings up that we worked with. So you'll be able to hear them and and it will follow through line by line as well. So
Good. Down day.
It was you and Laurel and Daniel, huh?
yeah.
Are we in the credits?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I think
And,
that's why.
Yeah. And you guys are in there, and yeah, it was I mean, couldn't have done a lot of it without you guys. So that's for definitely. And yeah, we're just planning to do more, really. So I think our plan next is to do one that focuses on some of Parker's other materials. Laurel is taking the lead on, Laurel Watkins, because she's got a lot of notes and everything, and she's worked on a lot of them already. So should be pretty quick. So, but we'll probably ask you guys about those as well. So,
Sound like her niece says she's one of the best.
yeah, she's fun to work with. She's she's
I
smart.
took it as an insult when her daughter said it's the best Kiowa speaker in the world. Her granddaughter, her niece,
Ah,
online.
ah. But yeah, in our meetings we speak English in our meetings.
Oh, must be interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, something to hear.
Yeah. How are you? How's everybody? Did you all go to the Gourd Clan?
Very hot.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
start with the weather. Yeah.
Yeah. I only saw some pictures, so it looked nice.
I was wondering in the old days if they found held their dances in the timber or something or out in the open.
Mm.
I wondered.
Yeah. I guess probably in the open.
Yeah.
Not a lot of woods. Yeah, and a lot of, especially back in the day. I don't know for the Sundance. I don't know if the lodge was built like, if it was built to cover or if it was just left open on top. I don't know exactly how they built it.
I don't know either. I don't know that much.
Yeah.
From pictures I've seen, I don't know how far the covering goes. Maybe somebody else knows.
Mm.
Since it's a sun dance, I would think that they let the sun come through.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure they were used to the sun and the heat anyways, right? So
Yeah.
they didn't have air conditioning, stuff like that.
I just I'd be leaving for Colorado to cut the teepee poles for the in the lodgepole pines during the summer.
Yeah.
You didn't have to stay in Oklahoma. You could go to a higher elevation and be cooler.
Yeah. I was wondering why or where, at what point they got their teepee poles from the Washita or near the Washita River, because that's called Aguntapa, the Washita River. Around here, comes by my, not that close, but not too far from my community. So I didn't know. I didn't ever see anything that looked like a teepee pole when I was growing up, swimming along that river. So it must have had to be further north.
And I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was maybe Gary Codicid. I wouldn't swear to it, but I think he told me that was kind of more like where they would cut emergency teepee poles, that they'd basically go out west to get the other ones, but that's kind of a long trip to go out to just go. I mean, like if you had one break and you needed it right then, that was kind of where it was a closer place than if you were, I don't know, if you were down in, down at the mountains or whatever, to go to the Washita to cut them, then to go the Wichita Mountains, then go to the Rocky Mountains. So maybe that was, if I remember correctly, that's what somebody told me. I can't say exactly who it was, but talking about it, how they got the name. Grandma Dorothy,
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
pretty good. Did you get a chance to do the Hail Mary yet?
Huh? Not quite. I found one I have. Just call me tomorrow.
Okay. Well, maybe one of the future classes would be nice if you do that, because I think it'd be nice to have that kind of.
Oh yeah. I have a printed one. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was easy. Not easy, but the words just came together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Thinking about your grandma quite a bit. I wish people with her courage were around here.
Yeah, well, actually neither grandma or any of her sisters were. I guess they were all pretty like Aunt Dorothy and Aunt Arlette and all them. They were definitely very strong women.
In the old days, they would have been lady warriors. Mae Johnson, Arletta Rowe.
Unmuted. Okay. They heard me though.
Nahatel ba auto?
Melody,
Hyundai.
Hatel ba auto? Who are we waiting on? Or what are, yeah, I said, who are we waiting on? Hatel ba auto?
I was waiting to see if any additional teacher candidates would join us. I see Miss Velma has joined us. I think the only candidates are me and Aunt Carolyn.
Talking about the heat a while ago at Gourd Clan, there must have been pounds lost on that hill from it looked like, oh gosh, it got to the point where it looked dangerous to be out in it. But first I heard, no, nobody had any mishap. So when we get determined, we do. That was the reason sun dancers came into their older age with eye trouble. Because the way I heard it, they looked right straight up at the sun while they were being pierced.
Sounds doubly painful. Yeah.
Sun dance.
Yeah. Called
The circle is interesting. Marion knows. You've got a very good source of information right there. I don't know too much about, except I've made the pair. I call it a rosary. But I've helped do the tobacco rolls and stuff when people are going up there. But mostly it was centered to the north. As recently as 10 years ago, one dance organization sent several trailers to the hills east of Taos. And that's where they cut the last teepee poles. It was a shot straight through the panhandle. In the Palisades east of Taos, over the hill by Red River, somewhere in that area. And Randy and them on an emergency, they got theirs one time on the eastern part of Oklahoma, somewhere around where the Tallahena or somewhere in that area.
Oh,
I guess in the old days, if they went out to Taos to cut the teepee poles, they could also stop by and trade in the pueblos too.
And steal a couple of horses on the way. Yeah, must have been exciting because they had no flatbed trucks in the 80s and up to the late 80s when McKee's Indian Store was up here on the end of West Central. About twice a year, a man from Crow Agency, he would drive his trailer into that big lot and sold teepee poles right there. And maybe bring a couple of sets, and he'd just sit there for one day and have them sold. So that's what I know about transporting those. You have to have the equipment and all that stuff. I don't know too much, but they used to sell them like that and have sales right in the afternoon.
Grandma Dorothy, where'd your dad get his teepee poles, or how did he get them?
They came like that from around the Taos area.
Did he go out and cut them, or did people bring them into?
There's a beautiful big set that they got lately by going up by themselves. The person to talk to about that is Vanessa and her sons. If you need
Yeah.
information on that.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're back when you were younger, I mean, like, where did people usually get them?
I would imagine they went to the closer areas because bringing them back that far, maybe like I said, Randy and them sometime use the eastern part of the state around Telequa, Lake Eufaula or someplace. Those are the next thing to getting them. What you think, Marion?
Yes, they went to where the trees were in the North Country.
Was there anything special about those trees in that area?
They're taller and straighter and don't have as many knots or branches on them, I would say. I mean, those lodgepole pines, they grow pretty straight. So,
Okay.
I mean, here, like Grandma Dolores was saying, the trees, most of the trees along the Washita down here are not really suitable for teepee poles. So it's not a.
But you have to remember that the Kiowa are not actually lifetime. They did not live their lifetime in the Southern Plains because they travel back and forth. So those things have to be remembered.
And women are not supposed to talk about teepee poles, and we were the ones that put them up. The nerve.
I'd say that's that colonial attitude that kind of just infected us.
When they got up to saying we couldn't pick cedar, that's when I had to put my big foot down. Because I'll pick
That's not
cedar
true.
anytime. Heck
Yeah,
with listening.
we can use cedar because there were women, medicine women too. And the women were left at the camp to take care of things, the families. And the women put up the teepee, they made the teepees, but the men had of course, collected the buffalo skins through their hunts, but it was the women who did all the work. And there's nothing wrong with that because it was part of the way the people lived. And it just seems that with all of this, putting the children into boarding schools and changing their way of thinking, and that the women were inferior. And so they say that the Indian women were slaves to the men. And we didn't think of it that way. It was something that was shared.
Don't try it right now. It's too darn hot.
Because, yeah, the women were the backbone. Yeah.
A different time.
Yeah.
Well, the white man changed it, trying to say that the women must keep their mouths shut. And they can't do that. And so that's where a lot of the different, through white man's education, so many different things change for the Indians' way of thinking, especially the transition, through their transition. But, and also well, I guess I better not go into that.
Well, and Miss Marion, that's I think just looking at how many tribes lived before the colonizers came, we I think that they couldn't handle that, you know, it was the Christian Akoy, the Christian white men who didn't see the women as having value. And they treated their own women really, really poorly. And they couldn't handle the fact that all the tribes, like women and men, had their own roles and their own things they did in society to keep things going. And so, yeah,
Well, that's exactly
all got
what
messed
it
up.
was. They tried to push that onto the Indian children's way of thinking in the schools. And so that's why I see so many writings that the white people put together. It's just so disgusting, some of their writings, because they're not true. And that is another reason why a man had 2 or 3 wives, because there was a lot of work to do. And it took a lot of time to raise children and do all these things that had to be done.
Well, and didn't a lot of things pass through your mother, not through your father, even for the men?
And this is not matrilocal or patriarchal for the Kiowas.
Yeah. But I mean, was it kind of both, or was it just?
I think so, yeah.
Because I mean, you know, back to that, it wasn't, I mean, you think about it until what, really the 1980s, if there was a divorce, women, I mean, even in Oklahoma, didn't automatically get any. I mean, they didn't necessarily get anything. It all went with the man. Whereas my understanding was in the past, if there was a divorce, the man basically got his, you know, got his clothes and his, you know, his personal belongings, but the, you know, the woman kept the teepee, which, you know, basically kept the house. So, you know, whereas wasn't until the 1980s that women would have been, or, you know, even, well, even earlier in the 20th century, women could own property, period, in, you know, mainstream society. So kind of hard to say that the, I mean, I think can't really, that didn't quite match up with the whole thing of women being slaves and not having any value according to the white people.
That's what we just said.
Yeah.
Women had value, but she
If I say anything, I put my foot in my mouth. So
if I say something, I'll put the men down.
Oh, go
They're
ahead.
not saying. I'm just kidding.
You can't say anything worse than my grandmother would have said, so don't worry.
You can't pick cedar. He said, how come? Because you're a woman, especially at Longhorn Mountain. And the pig's
That's
eye.
not true. That's not true.
You can't make rules from 100 years ago for now and expect somebody not to tell you where to go.
Mama's cousin, John Flo, he took Mom and I and my brother to different places. He was showing me where various places were located. And he said I could cut cedar, this and that. We went over a lot of different topics to make sure. But that is, some people make up stories. This becomes crazy. And they don't really, they don't know.
And keep in mind, there was a part in our, through the some era where women, Indian women, wanted to be Tokoi. Why? There were some. I grew up seeing that. didn't want to hear Kiowa, didn't want to say what their name was. If it was something like White Horse, get teased about it, and look down on the ones that never lost their identity by saying, I'm Kiowa first.
Mm.
And we had
Well,
uppity,
that's very important.
and we called them up. I called them uppity. And I know the ones that
We must keep our,
some of them
yeah,
practice it
it's
too, but
important for us to keep our names.
Oh,
It's important for us to keep our maiden names, family names. But it was also a rule with the Kiowa when they started enrolling that no one should change their name. If they were given their husband's name, the women still kept their family name, and that should not be changed.
I had a sister-in-law that wanted to change their name to White, W-H-I-T-E, instead of White Horse, legally. She didn't stay very long. It got to that bit. I never tried the peroxide hair. There's some people trying to peroxide their hair, and it looks so ridiculous, orange hair. So we've gone through those periods where we felt looked down on because we believed our Indian ways. And nowadays we have so many advisors from the younger people that it just goes back and forth. And I'm kind of surprised when I say something and so one of my own will say, no, it's not that way. Who lived it? You or me?
oh,
And everybody can't deny it. They've seen people come in and they're gonna show all of us how to do things. They're not here no more. Our greatest source is our own Kiowas that went before us. The things we've been referring to from the. And my dream is someday maybe they'll be listening to these, such as we did. You know, I want my grandchildren to hear my name 50 years from now.
oh. Well, they say
Well, yes.
everything
they'll
on
be-
the internet, nothing ever goes away once it's on the internet. So you'll live forever, all of you.
And I guarantee you, they even see who. I'm sitting here at midnight, and my daughter calls me and said, I got a call. Would you be able to talk at that tomorrow with the commissioner coming or the visit to Riverside? And all I had time to do was get out there and sit down and then wonder what I was going to talk about. I had no guidance or anything on what's up. She's a very gracious lady, and that's all over the internet that she was here. I'm glad, not knowing that it was the only stop here. She's there were the chairman from even the 5 civilized tribes. They were here to talk with the surroundings, and it was very interesting. I wish you could have all made it.
Oh, I watched it on, people kept going live on Facebook, so I watched as much as I could of it.
Yeah. I couldn't, I didn't know what. So maybe I was I was one of the happy campers.
Yeah. Melody, they quit taping when Dolores began speaking. So I was wondering was there any more information after she stop. I mean, they cut it off.
They told me to be out there at 8:30 in the morning. I mean, they asked if I could make it. And I sat there until 1:30 with little 10-minute breaks. So after that, after they didn't need me anymore, I left. So Dee, I didn't even see you.
She was right in back of you. And then later I saw where she was in front speaking to the Miss Holland, or presenting a shawl to Miss Holland.
Oh, you mean Dolores?
Two
Yeah.
hatchets.
Yeah.
I'm
thought they
sorry.
had-
I didn't do the last name.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I forgot to give the last name.
ay, am fake. I'm passionate. I got corn combed off. And I don't hear things, and I can hear it in my children's voices when they have to repeat. I didn't hear you right, Mary. Yeah, Dolores gave her a shawl,
Oh, it's my fault.
and they
Yeah,
told
that was my fault for not saying it.
in
Mm.
the when they were telling me the rules, they said you can't give her anything because
Mhm.
of security. She can't keep it.
Mhm.
So it's an Indian way to take a shawl, and I was kind of taken aback when they said that, or something. But
Yeah. That's right. But that's part of the government policies.
and behind the cameras, security was pretty tight.
Mhm.
In fact, the guys that were singing, they'd sing their song, and then they had to move out of the way. And then it was really tight. She's a gracious lady. Very, very. But I didn't know till midnight, before midnight that night. I had to get up at 8:30. I couldn't even give her a cedar bag.
Mhm.
I don't know who, why, or when. I mean, I don't know up to then.
Mhm.
Oh. It was interesting for sure.
It sure was. The governor from the Chickasaw Nation, oh, they have a sleek, beautiful bus. He brought his people, the 5. I see nobody from Comanche, but the Caddo, the WCDs were there, and the CNAs, the 5 on the east side, but I see no certain tribes I didn't see.
Mhm.
Oh. Let's see. We have Miss Belma, Grandma Dee, Grandma Dorothy, Miss Marion, and then we have for teacher candidates. Oh, and also I saw Miss Brenda join us. We have Catherine and Aunt Carolyn, and I see Grandma Martha Nell logging in.
Hi.
We look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, and then Mr. Tim Yegu was logged in also, but he must have gotten booted off, but hopefully he'll be able to log back in. And then we have Dr. McKenzie, and then we have Mr. Kent as well with us. So good group. Let's see, would Would you all like to listen to one of the Kiowa Culture Program recordings? Or what would you like to discuss?
Look like I'm the Mr. McKenzie and I are the only ones on. Oh, go get how you get tamed up. Whatever your heart says to me, I'll listen.
Let's see. Let me pull up the list of recordings so we can take a look and see what we all want to hear.
Melody, did someone do the opening prayer?
Hane, not yet. We've just been kind of.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Oh, go Tana do. That's when you say, it's your own heart. Decide what you want.
Oh. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Here's the list. Let's see. We were listening to a couple weekends ago, we listened to the Taipei recording. I don't know if we've listened to this one yet. There's this closing of Rainy Mountain School, which might be interesting.
Did I see Cedaring in there?
Oh, yeah.
You were
let's
talking
see.
about that.
Oh, yeah, right here, Cedaring Ceremony. Well, do we want to listen to that one?
Why not?
Okay.
Is it allowed?
Sounds good. Okay, let me pull it up. And let me share my sound. Okay, where's the button? Okay, share sound. All right. So here we go.
Favorite picture of Cindy.
Oh. Well, let's see if we can hear it. Oh, there we go.
Kiowa Culture Program on this day of November the 1st, 1978.
Can everyone hear that okay?
Oh,
Okay, let me make sure my. Okay.
Here at the Witcherline Church, those that are present here today is Lloyd Toyable, Yale Spotted Bird, Guy Tankby, James Silverhorn, Stephen Zotai, Hazel Boton, Esther Topai, and Margaret Denkar. At this time, before we start, I'm going to ask my aunt Esther to give us the invocation.
Điều để tôi khi ấy có để số loại có hệ có to để có soi có để cũng có thể còn để hay ghé trong gian on kia hệ ghé cùng để đó để ghé trong gian hệ còn cái lon ghé hai còn phụ đó có to ghé on mẹ coi to cái đó mẹ để ghé trong gian đó anh khi đó conประเดี๋ยวว่าแคนคนได้คิดคีดากอดหาไปคีดาเกียเต็มได้ยังกอดที่คงแยกสันที่คงแยกกอดบีนตัวได้ดอกเป็นดอกสะหาดอกใส่กุก็ดอกใส่ตาให้ก็แห้งแก่ดอกนี่ ôi để hôn đi cái đó thì cái thâu đó nói cũng thì có con bội đó cái con đây cái cái món đó thì cái con đó chỉ có đó sai cái đó thì có ý đâu có ý đó sai thì có cái con đây thay hay cái đó đi đó đó don't mean đó so cái đó cái con đó nói giúp con đó 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 cái con đó cái thay đó thì có nói có phom ôi đó thì bắt tham hay anh thì nói đôi có san cái tê thì có cái tê thì đó có tôi anh ấy có hồn để cái họ thực sự bê có tông cái soi đó tôi có khó hay dân đi cái hay khi đã các con hoa có hay cái họ thực sự các con đã cái thay đều đó cái
Okay. I'll stop it there. Let's see, for our mentors who are here with us. We'll start with Grandma Martha now. Would you be able to comment on the prayer?
I was kind of away when that was going on, so I didn't hear the whole thing.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go, Grandma Dorothy, would you like to comment on the prayer?
Yes. Excuse me. They're always the men's prayers to me are different from the women, because she mentioned how long they had been meeting and the purpose of that. And usually, I'll be frank with y'all, when y'all are praying, I'm praying with you. And I just, all of their prayers are beautiful. And if you were going to take it as a guide, it's a good source of a Kiowa prayer. Those are almost too private. Thank you, Melody.
Oh, Grandma. Grandma Dee, would you like to comment on the prayer?
Well, she did say, she talked about prayer and how the older ones prayed, and she was more or less saying that all those people are gone, and but in the past they prayed, and so it was just a continuation of what the Kiowas have always done. And she talked about prayer while she was praying, how the elders prayed and those before her. So I thought that was something, because she felt that the way they prayed and the depth and whatever of their prayers were no longer with us. And so.
Miss Marion, would you like to comment?
Okay. Well, she said we meet here several times, various days. I mean, that's what I'm getting from what she says, to speak. And she says that there are language, of course. We don't know some of the words, well, she didn't say that, it's Kiowa. And they meet on certain days. And that with the elders before them, they had strong prayers, which mean fervent prayers. And now our people are gone, the elders before them. And then she says, now we are the elders. And the prayers are what we keep, we hold on to them. And the people are related, many people are related, and we help each other. We have good meetings together. But again, that was a lot of emphasis on the prayer and how to give them strength. The same as what Dorothy and Dolores had mentioned.
Oh. Miss Belma, would you add anything?
Oh, I think they covered most of it or covered it all.
Oh, and Miss Brenda, would you like to add anything?
It sounded perfect. So no comments.
Oh, all right.
I forgot to say, she mentioned that things will be good here on this earth. So there's thinking about the future and generations. Okay.
Melody.
Hyundai.
Can I say something right quick? I'm trying to keep quiet. I want to compliment Tim Yegu. He opened a prayer yesterday. He opened the program with a prayer, and his Kiowa was so good. I was so proud of him. The guy from our class.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got to hear him. I listened to him on Facebook. It was nice to hear.
Who was it?
Mr. Yegu, Tim.
Oh, Tim. Oh,
teacher
awesome.
candidate.
Awesome. Oh, Melody. Who was the lady that was praying?
Isn't that Esther Topa?
Yes.
Okay. Esther Topa. All right. Okay, let's hear their first speaker, see what they say.
Lloyd Torbo. Haunted dog. Kaikuanem Olai. Oh, Hibo, a dog, the dog. Anem Olai. Ebga. Hey, aborted. And then, how to get on the hotel, doctor, haunted, get dog. no yasai buhai. And now,
Okay, that was short and sweet.
It was good.
Grandma Martha, would you like to start us off with your comments?
Yeah, he talked about actually the meaning. I guess trying to find the meaning of what that cedering was. Because he said Hyundai Gadol Day. And so that's saying, I wonder what that was. And on in cold on
Yeah.
him, y'all. So he's saying that they cedar with, I mean, they use that cedar to with their prayers, I guess. And that's how they do this. But he said, who will tell us? He said, what it is. He said, I don't exactly know. That's what I heard.
Oh, Aho. Grandma Dorothy?
Oh gosh, the first sentence I tried to teach the students was from that era. Bake odals, oh, bake odals, oh, go ain't goo. To spread out the cedar, bake odals, oh, go ain't goo, and hit me with the feathers. That means lay out your cedar and ain't goo. Bless me by the way they dusted around your face. And it's strange at that time that this era, I mean, the era that we're learning from, because as a little girl, when I heard that sentence, I think that kind of proves some people's theory that that kind of cedering originated with Sampy. What y'all think? And at that time, the missionaries were strongly opposing the Indian way of doing things. Just to put the
That's
history.
right.
And because that was the sentence, and if they coded so good. That was the era of John Eaglehart, Henry Tenedo, Jack Sankido, people that were practicing our Sampi. And just by that change of
Now there's a little.
and there was a certain faction that didn't, that wasn't their choice of a church. So, and the missionaries jumped on that. And that was in that era. It's what I have to say.
That's where the true.
Oh,
That's right. The
go ahead, Miss
transition
Marion.
was happening. I'm sorry. I was agreeing with Dorothy that the transition was happening during that age era that are speaking on these tapes, because there were some that where their families did not give up the traditions. And then there were others that were shamed through some of the missionaries to stop, for the Indians and their children to stop these practices and give them up. And so there's sort of two different groups there, and some know, some don't. And it goes on like that even today. And that is one of the things, like my grandfather's, his grandmother was a medicine woman, but since his father became Christian, converted to Christianity, then the medicine knowledge was not passed on because of that strong missionary influence. They're trying to shame everybody, shame the Indians into giving up their traditions. But So far, almost everything's pretty correct in what these people are saying, but there's just little parts where, like what Dorothy says, there seems to be a break in the tradition practice.
Oh, Grandma D, would you like to comment?
Well, they did say at the end, Honya Zai Gu Hai Ga. I don't know exactly what cedering is. And he said at the time they were doing these recordings, it's 1978. He was, I would say 88, somewhere along there, 88 years old. He was the elder of this group, the Kiowa Culture Group. And he did say that who's going to tell us why that started and the meaning of it. And he said, Hanya Zai Gu Hai Go. That means I don't know exactly the meaning of cedering.
Oh. Miss Velma, would you like to comment?
No, but I'd like Dorothy to repeat that again. I was trying to write it down and I got stuck. Was it bake? Did you say bake odal goo or just bake odal? Bake odal ga.
Bake odal. Bake odal. Oh, like
okay.
Yeah. Go ain't goo. I heard the old ones say it that way. Get the cedar ready and hit me with the feathers.
Goot. T at the end.
No,
Goo. Goo.
Again, you have that double O from old Iowa. And they refer to the
Okay. Bake odal so ga. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's
Thank
a
you.
perfect. It's a perfect sentence in old Kiowa.
Oh, is that when you say ain't goo, is that a similar concept? You know how we're practicing for the credentialing when we're talking about give it to me? Is it like the ain't is that the same?
No, taking the feathers and fanning you off.
Okay.
It's an old way of saying ain't goo. And the feathers. And goo is to tap me around.
Okay. Awesome. And Miss Brenda, would you like to comment?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the next speaker.
James Silverhorn. Koeko. Eu de kionte no i de to neko oud, pa to au hibo waton kenko. Koi kuenke teho ke kadoko tulo honte ke to ko hibo doko. Ai on tek on de mo zo ne tek koop dat en ek oud o tak kata koop. Ik kan nou tam ak don ket ne kan nou bo yo tam ko ta to I have honte dokke komone tone had dam tanko akkom de gedone koi kwa dotne. Honko get out ne konk o tawatna goe kale toko pui also nek o hibo. Ko 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 salasno ko sol dem oppo ek ian. E ko paba kale alto kale. Ke ko konde ko ke tonja me se kem data tra so ke monte chulo ke amo kalem se konta ke kem wurde kem data dat age ke ko to non dem ko ta wonte ko te le mo so ne ter Kanavajon taamadiket aajadenum si paattou petta kuori kieletta suloket ainkonada chua. Touke giike paakjaike kodek olto tiket touje. Take toki ko hiivokka koke on hissai toje katsoi. Te mont kajon teet aaga ke hontek daakke kot sulla monket hanteke taadi teoriki paaket aade. Nah.
Okay. Let's see. Grandma Martha, would you like to start us off?
Okay, yeah, he didn't say a lot either about it, but he said today we're going to talk about cedaring, and he's talking about it helps you to feel better if you're kind of down about something. You usually always feel good after you're cedared. And then he talked about the cedar itself and where it grows. And he said, we know where that is, and we go and cut it. And when you cut it, you say prayers. And then you also say prayers as you cedar, and it makes you feel good or makes you feel better. And he said also in your homes, when you do that at home, you get that cedar smell throughout your house, and that's always really good. And then he kind of ended up there.
Oh, aho. Grandma D, would you like to comment?
Well, he was also telling about, like Martha Nelson, that he gave a location wherever and all that, how and what you did when you cut the cedar, and then and the way you can use it. It's used also as individually, you can do that's what he's talking about. As an individual, he cedars his house sometimes in the morning. So it's just something that you can do, I guess, as an individual. That's what I got out of what he said. And he did say that it made you feel good.
Oh, aho. Grandma Dorothy?
Okay, what he said was today our subject is cedar. I'm going to touch on it a little bit. Getton yidita inga gettozanma. And I like that expression that they use so much. I'm going to touch on it. I'm going to touch it with words, is what he said. Getton yidita. And that was just good. And this man, I guess I took most of I grew up seeing him all the time, and he touched on that big odal. So it's getting ready to when you're going to cedar somebody, and he mentioned that several times. And you do feel better. He said if anybody comes up and you're feeling bad, I just said that myself. When you're feeling sad, it does make you, whether it's guided by the Lord or that makes no difference to me. I just know that the Lord has a hand in it because I feel better after I'm cedared off, like our elders advised us. I hope.
Oh, aho, Grandma. Miss Marion, would you like to comment?
I agree with what they're saying, and that is true. I've always regarded as the cedar as an incense that is burned, and prayers are done when the cedar is burned, because we also give thanks to our God, Creator, whenever we do burn the cedar, and the aroma and the incense, the smoke, it filters through the house, and it's like a blessing. At least that's the way I've been taught. But also I've seen those verses as well in the Bible that say, when you speak to me, some people burn their incense. And to me, that is where there's so many similarities between God, the creator, and the Indians knew of that, the great one, the great creator, the Almighty. And he created the earth. And so we pray to him and give him the thanks, give him the glory. And we burn the cedar and pray. And that's part of it. And what Dolores and Dorothy and Martha said. And well, I would probably repeat parts of that, but so that's those are my comments, I should say.
Oh, aho. Let's see, Miss Velma, would you like to comment?
He also mentioned that he didn't know exactly, like where it started or whatever, but he was just saying that someone along the way found this or discovered this using the cedar and, and praying. So he didn't really know where it started or when, just mentioning that someone, he didn't know who, but someone found that use for cedar.
Oh, aho. And Miss Brenda?
Wonderful.
I agree with what they said.
Oh, I see Grandma Dorothy has a little visitor.
He's telling me good night. Don't you?
Oh, so cute. He's so big.
We'll see you, sweetie.
He's tall and heavy. Okay.
See ya.
Melody, I wanted to add something to Grandpa James Solhorn.
Oh,
When I was little, we wake up. That's the first thing I'd smell is the cedar in his house, and that's what he did. Was he would wake up before everybody and do his thing, and we all know that he was also the bundle keeper, and so he had a lot of responsibility. And but he never told us not to burn cedar. The women, he always said that was for our prayers to go up and to be sought after from the ancestors above. So yeah, I mean, he was a very, very spiritual and knowledgeable man. And I'm really glad that I was able to wake up every morning with him, and when we were there. And even though I lived in St. Louis, Phyllis, my mom, one of his daughters, the twin, would get homesick. So we would be down there for 2 or 3 weeks. And of course we were staying with him. And it was just an experience that I'm able, was actually able. And I love all my elders, I even have one here, that Charlie Sobelhorn, and all of them are special, So aho.
oh, aho. Appreciate that. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Shall we go to the next speaker? Okay. Cool.
Stephen Zota. Ego, kita tau te ego pui pui te tongu i te ego. O hi boi komo. A kona te ku o to watongi. Ke show me ke pilpa kona hau ke haido. Hontem haido ko. Hoge ko turo. Monik olse honde. Ne honde dokere non ya ko ne ku ko ya ki ko em kem do yo mo to ko be cholo no ko de tem do yo Honda ja koudot ja peikedot kun honda pedu ke hado noan batu ke do ke ado e do batu. Pei hebe dona ke tab hono. Ike bu ke kuso edo. Honda so meten honda ke gurdo de ke koe ke do de hoge ke ton. Ko eo de ke kuda ke ko taba me ke koul paiko. Koutta vatongia o hiivo. Konde ke somi o de ke kunda ki ko ite ki kunda ki ke ko koe kuna ta miatton sanma. En do sato se ke koulsuutta. Ka uutama. Haja peike to haja to. E ka uutama. Ai se ko ki to ta emo e ka uutama. Honden tojomi toki ke koulsuutta. Te haavukko te kantu savu ki ke koulsuutta. Honde sulo che do che ne honde che amozunum che de che do non ya con sulo e uso de no ya che de ko te do de ko che so me te che ben tanto zamano de ota do no so che bodo e che so me o hibo e do unan hai che opo de man Nootsaikoon kilnot saapake todeman. Tuu kumpake todeman o kuppaka o hiissorde me koppan at hausan kun at hääk. E konde kia pankku todella rondet auki kia dokke de on no ja hääku. No alko jonko de kaa paako tajat doostojen kia puhjum täykuko kia tuute on suun. Bet honda ja mun kia käänte kia no ja hääku. No to ja te tu tajo no sulun dootsa tu kok iket hääk. Ja nonde pa kuutele ke noon kia puhu mut honno ja keiko noa tuota jätto sanma. Sulupa honno kia tova puut halila taiko jätto sanma.
Thy God tain't be.
Okay. Grandma Martha?
Okay, I always can't keep up with him sometimes, but same thing like the other speakers, he said that they were there to talk about cedaring. And then he talked about doyome. So it kind of was probably used in a way to make people feel better if they were ill, I think. And he said that he called it cedar like a dawada, like a spiritual plant or tree or whatever you want to say. And he said someone discovered it, found it, and they start using it. He really saw me. He said the Kiowa start using it and pray, and they feel good when they do cedar. And he talked about how they use the cedar. And he's talking about listening and finding out what it was all about. And he said that's the way it was. I pretty much say that he did a repeat. And he said at the end, he said, I'm telling you what I know. And he said, my name is, and he's the Kiowa name, and I kind of missed it. I didn't exactly hear what his Kiowa name was.
Aho. Grandma Dorothy?
Repeat of what Martha said. And the other one, I feel that way sometimes. That I was too scatterbrained, and that we should have listened to all of the things that they said, but we thought they were going to be here forever. And that's our mistake. My advice to the youngsters is listen and get these all that was so informative from this man, but it's pretty much what Marty said.
Grandma D.
Well, he was talking about the others expressing himself that he that it was amazing that the cedar was here. It was an evergreen, it was always green, and that you didn't get it at just any place. And then he told about his father. His father was a Indian doctor, and he would pray before he cut the cedar, and then he used it when he was doctoring people. And like I said, that's what I remember saying. His father prayed before, and then he described the directions of where got the cedar. It wasn't too far from where his family lived, the way he was speaking. That's it.
Miss Marion.
That was basically same information that the others, but he said long ago someone must have taken this, some Kiowa must have taken this and burned the cedar, and he means way back in the past where it came from. But then when he says dog, that to me he was saying that was like God's plant. And he said maybe it was Kiowa plant, and the Indians use this now. Everywhere use this cedar. And back to the same thing, it makes a person feel good when they burn the incense. And it's used like even when curing persons, and that has always been my understanding. Yes, cedar is like for purifying and used every day. That it's like a purification of your house or yourself, your spirits. And then he said his last name. I thought it sounded like he was saying his name was Beaver Man. I could be mistaken unless we listen to it again.
So I think he used to say his name was Bo Tali. And other times he said, I know it has beaver in it because it's Bo.
Beaver.
He says
Beaver
Bo
Man.
Tali. He's
Yeah, it
used
must be
it
Beaver
before.
Boy. I heard that Beaver.
And my thoughts go back a long time. And if, let's see, or I don't know, it happened that our funnels had a sweat bath. And if they used cedar then, it must go back a heck of a long time.
Let's see. Miss Velma, would you like to?
No, they think they covered everything.
And Miss Brenda.
No need to comment there. Perfect at it.
All right. Cool. I think they said, who did they say? I'll have to rewind it a second.
Guy Tansby.
Oh, okay.
I have a piece of sweetgrass behind me. I still have not.
Hyundai.
I said, I have a piece of sweetgrass several places in my room. I mean, around. I still have not learned the exact cause. I mean, it's similar to cedar, I would imagine, with according to what I heard, the sweetgrass originated with the Chippewas. Can somebody enlighten on that? Is there a similarity, or is it an incense, or I wouldn't know how to use it if I did. I just keep them.
That's the same as burning cedar, except that's what they use, sweetgrass. That's what I've seen, and that's how a couple of times I've had visitors who've used it, burned it like an incense, and just same as, and I say we use cedar, but that's what they use.
And really, Kiowa it didn't originate. We don't use that, do we?
No. That it's just respect.
Yeah.
That's what they use.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, Ko.
Ko kia tātou ko. Tolo bono kia tawa pōtale rā tai ko yato tāna. Nā gai tīngi. Nā koe ko kia tātou ko. Ei tōng kāma koe kia konda. On te kia ākere te me koe te watahaku. Ke kēha te kita kia kou tō watong kia o hiwo i tōki ko. E koe ei haya hei pai tō honte tō kia te ko. Mōni kia pailu ai ko kia pailu tōna. Ki ko noi te pai te ko pai tenso tō koe kia ko wai koe tōki ko. Haya honte tendo honte kia wato sen ko e kauri so omo kauto wato kia te ko so ya hai kia. Oyo hi so yen ko kia dōden. Kia hai kia tono. A so yen ko ne sai kia ko mo ai te ko hei kia oma te ko. O hi boi toki ko e seil pahi e ko i bōso ye te pōnt a ke ko ke tōte. No on te mon tōte haia kia peilu toki ko e te peite ko mone e uwasa. Ko e ko ahon te uwata o kon ki ko tōta ko e te pei tenso on ke te koso ke haike. On te koudot o haia kon te le mo te ko on em koudot. Ko e te so kon te on tonke no kon ke to yaha e ke to. E le omo koudot ton tonke. Dōsa tonke ke to. Ko tāwa dare ko on te wei tenso to whai hawa ke ko. E ko ki ke ken ko. Ko so yon ko o kodan ko. O i so ni ko. E komo. Dome koda ke ai antendo. Kukini baton ke te kaupapa. So de baton ke kukono pātai. O le koto ke mona konse ko ase i te koe. O hi ko bin koe ke so yo ko te koe. Ko yo te kre ko. Do sai ki ko yo te koe. Ko antendo. Ki kuldo ne dōtai ke kia kong, ko honde kia uwato te ko. A kaunta. No tāli tōte so tōng ke po ki o moho kui te tō. Ka pātōsa, me kōri uista ta kia ki tā ke konde kia gonta yanto rote. Toi ke tōte wa kōri tō. Pia tai ke tōte te tōku ke tōte ko tā. Ia iui ke a konto ko. Te honto ni ki tā ke tō. Tōko ia tōne sō ke tōto tōng ke honte. Tōng tōte te ko honte ke kōmai ko ke tō. Kōng ke tā ke kōmai ko tape with the get I like call when I thought good morning get call good thing get I think no I don't call go cold doctor con take cold thing con time no I got that now but so I think get but I can't go to them get Colon de hayvayım ya go ya body to the go get go home. Nah,
Okay. Let's see, Grandma Martha, would you like to start us off?
Okay. So that was Guy Papian, so he's to continue talking about the cedering and talking about how the Kiowa people used it. He said sometimes when they were wishing for something, Obakdal is that word for that. If they're kind of wanting something good to happen, they would use that cedar. And they went to where the trees were growing. They knew where that was. And then he kind of gave descriptions of what the trees looked like. He said they were, big, beautiful trees, strong trees. And they used it for sickness and prayed when somebody was not well. And let's see, what did he say? He's talking about oak saw y'all. Is where they would go and they would cut it. They would go to where the mountains were and they would cut it. And then bring it home. And then they would pick it out, clean and pick it out. And then they would bag it. They would also put it in bags because he's talking about bean coy. They're putting in the bean coy. And then he said they were all hoping for something good. And so they used it in that way. The people also used it in their home. And he mentioned other elements that were kind of good with that. He's talking about water, and he talked about the good winds and that the cedar smell good. He said, I'm just telling you some good things about it. That's what I got out of it.
Let's see, Grandma Dorothy.
Yeah. When we used to have our yearly conferences, different parts of the United States for our cause for Kateri. Our little group up here at St. Patrick's made little red and blue cedar bags with felt and put a cross on it with that liquid pin, or some of us beaded ours and gave those as favors. We put together 3,000 for one conference. Of course, there were about 30 of us. And this is the little thing we wrote up for it, and it kind of covers that. American Indians, cedar is used to purify the body and the spirit. Cedar is universal among American Indians. Cedar is a tree that is always green and never dies. When it is burned with prayers, we believe the smoke takes the prayer straight to the Creator, God. I thought that was pretty cute. And I still have some of those. But that is what they're trying to explain, is that it's always green. And basically that's what they're saying. And it never dies, and we find comfort in that. Whether anything connected with God is comfort. And this is something that we have that is so precious to us. And basically they're saying the same thing, because those men were believers in, I think the ones that are being questioned are the ones that were Native American, I hate that word, were saintly, but they worship through the smoke and the prayers going to Damoyam dog. And basically that's what it is. And I sure do enjoy this subject. I love to be cedared. I love the smell. Oh, wow.
Oh, aho. Let's see, Grandma D.
Well, he was speaking of cedar, a lot like the others about the tree and the way it was used. And I always have difficulty hearing him. Sometimes he does it at an even, but he tends to speak, and the longer he speaks, the lower his voice gets. And so, but anyway, I was able to hear what he was saying, that there's basically the same thing, that the tree was created by the cedar tree, by the creator, and that it was used for, it has a useful purpose among the Kiowas. And I can't add any more than that than what others have said.
I hear you, Dolores. No, Alega and Honya, Hana Natalia on a lot of it.
Oh, aho. Miss Marion.
It's basically the same information they just spoke of. The one word, ate obato. That is, really, I think, a strong word and a good word, because that's what people, sometimes do. They just feel lost, or they have a problem, and there's some issues, and then they go use the cedar with prayer, and they put their hopes in and good thoughts for the better, the best, or whatever the situation that they're going through. And so I just think but I agree with what was said.
Oh, aho. Miss Velma.
Can't add any more.
Oh, and Miss Brenda.
Me too. I'm off.
Oh, all right. Let's go to the next speaker. Co.
Hazelboat.
Ei, gettosan me odiki. Ohi boi todem. Câu tờ bắt tông kìa. Em gọi kì ở đây có tê. Môn sư lò anh ấy đó mà bụ. Ghét một thêm đó. Coi hiểu vốn đó. Coi tao. Em mò cuối mê có ohi boi tông kì. Ei sen esto de esto toi hakia o hi ei boy ke don de an sail sol got go toy the omo do kin ke go de the omo got do ton do doi ton de o hi boy go do a ko p zone got go so got the game go tàu đông cái đó hào tịch tàu đông đó đâu thong gọi xuyên cái có cái câu tôi có cái gan đó sai bông cái này cái có bạn cái đó có bị đó đem hay đó có em gọi các có một dân sinh có sự lọt đây có sỏi tàu bộ một thêm cái đó có hà tịch tông cái Ego, o coyon de seung que gek ut to ne par que do que ma ku to po de no o hibo big old so tole ki ko ke o seon ga hai ba ko mina na o mai bo de to ki mo tu tha do no na ke tap ho no e ko ha de ga to e ko e bo so e
Now, Margaret Dinko.
That's good.
Okay. Hazel Bowtone. Go ahead, Grandma Dorothy. You want to start us off?
She used an expression I hadn't heard in a long time when us older ones to remember when we were children. Now, there was even people getting the measles and they have their prayer over them. Everything was dangerous. Whooping cough, stuff like that. And with tuberculosis, that was the killer. And the old ladies used to refer to that as top hodl, the skinny sickness, top hodl. You're drying, and I had not heard that expression in many, many years. She had a comforting talk. It just followed all the basics of hodl, getting cedar. It sounds like neck, but it has a completely different meaning. Big coats. And she said when you walked into a household or somebody's teepee, they referred to their homes like that. And you had that smell that was so comforting because you knew they were praying. And that was a nice little talk. You should take that. I enjoyed that when it's a perfect description. I hope.
Oh, aho, Grandma. Grandma D, we'll go over to you next.
Well, she said that she was taught from childhood the way that the cedar was used in their home, and that their father often went from room to room with the cedar, and he prayed as he walked to the room, and then she told how he took cedar and put it in water and gave it to them if they had a sore throat or a cough. And she talked about like that she's been taught from childhood that that's what people did, and I can't remember how she said it, but that was what she does. That's what we do today. Something that was taught. That the kai there was a Kiowa way, going on one. So that's it.
Oh, aho. Grandma Martha?
Okay. Hazel Wiltone talking about continuing to talk of cedar. And she said, called it that cold dog again. And she said, 8 Mohane, that means we learned about it. And she said, get more guime. So it's very useful to the people. And she said, somebody said, well, go said her father would take the seeds off of the cedar and put it in that water and make a potion, I guess, that they could drink while they were sick, and it would make them feel better. And she said there was cedar all through the rooms, always smelled good. And now the elders are gone. And she said, but we all saw that, the way they used it. And then she said other people, like Caucasian people, have the incenses that they use. She said she still felt like the cedar was the one that we knew and we used and we liked. They liked the smell of that cedar. It's like God was speaking, and the cedar was always green. It's what it is, and it's what I got out of it.
Oh, aho. Miss Marion?
Well, basically the same information that was interesting she mentioned about the cedar in the water for healing, because my grandfather had mentioned some of these things and also some other plants for other purposes. But yeah, that's today. People prefer to go to the drugstore. So yes, that was good.
Oh, Ms. Felba?
Again, I can't add any more.
Miss Brenda?
Same for me. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
I have a question
Hyundai.
for the elders. Have you guys ever heard about cedar water, boiling cedar water for like to put under your legs and stuff for cramps? I guess not. Nobody, we didn't boil it and use it like that.
I was kind of, my mind was kind of going toward cedar tea. You know, nowadays everybody's using any kind of concoction to make their drinks. And I wonder what see, knowing that I never heard of that, I wonder if it would do any good to try that. Of course, you'd find out if it was safe to ingest, but if you believe in anything, it'll happen. Let's see, becon. When you put something on your skin, I never heard of that, you know, somebody using a sapphire or something. But cedar has always been around in my years.
Oh, yeah, I was with some Ojibwe women and they did that. They boiled some cedar water and used it for their legs. They were doing the water walk.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they were, they wanted me to put bear grease on, but I was like, no, I don't think so, you know. And then they said, well, try the cedar water. And I was just wondering if the Kiowas did anything like that.
Like to try it, you know.
It did work. The cedar water worked on the calves anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for your input.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh.
And Grandma Dorothy, I know other tribes actually do use cedar tea. I've had it, like I know some of my Onondaga friends up in New York, that's what they make tea out of the cedar.
I know you had mentioned it, you know, that I guess some of us just have Kiowa on our mind, you know, kind of look around. That's interesting. Interesting. Thank you, Kent.
You're welcome.
Oh, awesome. And just wanted to say welcome to the Sotai family for joining. Just wanted to say hello. All right, let's go to the next speaker. Cool.
Vengo che tautana ado e te patago. O hiba batongego. Onde somite. I go I boat o get vengo kita anaha. On I gay say hono, on I gay tap hono. I gigo so I boat o get oil go ado. Eight age. Oyo de pedo, kota, ba kota de gom kota, ba hunde haya. Oyo de pedo, it aga ado, inke dogo. Hunde haido kan gu dono, get age no, oyo do, dota. He gay ho, saito yarrigo. Oyo go ado. Oyo eight cold take or they go and coat the oh and do chat to get I get no try get the kick it no too low no yeah.
And
Okay. Let's see, Grandma Martha.
I think that was Lucy something, I think, sound like. I think that was her. And she, again, is just talking about the cedar per se. And she said it was saw me amazing that it was always green, was never dry. And she said these were good trees. And she talked about cedaring with the leaves there. She said it's good that someone's wisdom gave us that on how to use it. It taught us how to use it. And then mostly her talk was on cedar and prayer. And she said, it's always about prayer. And then she said, that's all I know.
Oh, Grandma Dorothy.
And she's describing it similar to anything new, like Orga, Orga is a brand new baby. And I love her, Kiowa. And she's just saying about how it has everlasting life and that it just saw me. Saw me is so wonder, just wonder. How can Hyundai get saw me now that it stays green all the time? And some of the elders had to believe, I guess, that it was just because our world centers around Kiowa and being Kiowa. So I didn't know how universally used it was until I became an adult. I thought it was ours, stuff like that. But then the rest is same as Marty said. So, okay.
Grandma D.
She just talked about how it's always green, and she said it's odd. Said it's good, and then she said it was used with prayers. Talked about praying. So that that's all. I liked her saying that it was it's odd. It was a good tree. Okay.
Miss Velma, would you like to add anything? And Miss Brenda.
I'm good too. Thanks.
And Miss Marion.
And it's the same information. Yes, it's a good plant, grows continually. And it was also used at POT meetings where they do prayers. And she said, that's just what I know. And that was it. And the same information as I agree with the same information that Dorothy, Dolores, and Martha's statements.
Okay, let's see here. We are almost at time here. I don't know if we want to try to listen to one more speaker or if we should close up, because we have 3 minutes.
You got a 3-minute presentation.
This part, who's gonna do the choose your prayer?
Oh. Let's see here.
I didn't imply that it's the best part because we're quitting. I just like to hear the prayers.
Oh,
Oh, that's right. You forgot.
I wonder if we'll ever come to a meeting in person again. It was so much fun.
Anya Haigo.
I learned to like and enjoy enjoy this, and I learned to love all of you by remote control. Some of you I haven't seen in over. Marion, I haven't seen you in 3 years in person. Different ones of you. You too, Dr. McKenzie. Hey, more phone.
Oh,
Oh.
Did Max, nobody, who were I know I took a partial list of who was here. Half the time I'm daydreaming in Kiowa. I even saved mine.
oh. Let's see here. I guess we'll go ahead and close up. Kathy Bay.Sai.
Aho Daki for the today and with the elders and teachers and mentors. Thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to learn from the people, from the elders that learned before us and carrying on what they wanted. And hopefully we can do that for our people. Pray for all the people that are sick and addictions and things like that. I appreciate everybody here in this group. Aho, obaho.
Aho.
Aho. All righty. Well, that was awesome. Let's see. I'll send the recordings out. If you're on the list, you should have seen the recordings I sent from the June sessions. And we'll continue to meet Sundays throughout the month of July. So if you're available, we'll see you next week. And candidates and mentors, will see you on Wednesday for our practice credentialing sessions.
Oh,
Oh,
I'll go.
Obaha.
Wait, boom, dog.
Ha, hega ba oi bong ta. Hega ba oi tong tai to. Stay safe.
Oh.
And it's